Alrighty, folks. Alrighty, folks. This is my journey of how I started my first SaaS. I've already prefixed it with my first because I already know there's gonna be more. So very, very, very excited. But guys, I just wanted to talk, directly camera to camera, person to person. It's time to offload some info. So over here on the left, I've got a little script I'm going to try to follow of my journey. Before we dive into that, though, let me introduce who I am. My name is Pags. I am a software engineer. I'm a former sales supervisor, a ex enterprise software engineer, a ex diesel mechanic, a ex professional musician, and former child. So, um, yeah, let's dive in on how did I become a software engineer. Actually, I won't do that one. We'll leave that for another episode. But I'm really digging this view, by the way. I'm loving it. I am loving it. This is my setup. This is where I get work done. I've got the dual up monitor here and the LG 32, um, and a standing desk that my sister and brother actually handmade for me, and it's got adjustable legs on it. So all set for productivity. But enough messing around. Let's dive into the content, guys. So how I built my first SaaS company. First of all, it's still being built. It's absolutely still in the process of being built. It's not huge at all. I think giving the title company is even a bit overzealous. Um, it's a SaaS product right now. My first software as a service, and I just crossed the threshold of 50 users. I'm on route to 100 users, and I know that's not very much. I know there's a huge way for me to grow, but for me that is very validating. That is something that took a lot of different skill sets stacked together to make happen. As mentioned earlier, I used to be a sales supervisor. I used to be a professional musician and a ex enterprise software engineer. It took all three skill sets from those things: the sales stuff, the sales pipelines, prospecting, the creativity, the technical ability from music, and certainly the technical ability and experience from being an ex enterprise software engineer. So it's been a long time in the coming for these things. But I want to talk about kind of the timeline of how it happened, and then I have a few points that I want to break down that I have over here. So the few points that I have, ooh, tricep flex, folks, ooh. But the few points that I have over here are the introduction stage. I want to talk about the product market fit and unfair advantages that hopefully I can educate a little bit at this point, or even watch back to, and stay true to these mentalities, because I think it's what really made this thing. So I'm going to run through these points again. So introductory stage of what happened. So I had strong motivations, and I'll explain them both internal and external. I had a unique product fit and unfair skill sets, in my humble opinion, in certain things, and building the product itself and the challenges that came with it, and then the branding and marketing presence, user acquisition, and what else do we have? Customer feedback, and dynamically working with customers and friends of mine and other software engineers on feature implementation and other things, bug fixes, things like that. And finally, just overall reflection, stress, and advice, and a conclusive bit too. So those are roughly the points. We'll see how much we stick to them. I don't want to ramble on too much, but I do want to offload some hopefully knowledge, and knowledge that's based in a little bit of experience. So hopefully getting all that pre-fobbed stuff out of the way, guys. There's a lot for me to grow. I don't have all the answers. I'm not Sway. I don't have all the answers. That was a Kanye West reference for those wondering. Um, so I'm still working, still building, but these are the things that I've found successful on the way. And I'm going to intertwine some life timelines with these points as well. So, point one, let's dive in. How did it all kind of play into shape, and where's it at now? The introductory of all this stuff. What was the motivations? So the internal motivations were pretty straightforward. I've always wanted to build something pretty good. I've kind of done that in my life, is just kind of build. Just I don't know. I'm like existentially, like, I don't want to say bored, but I like have to build. I don't know. It could be Saturday, it could be my birthday, it could be Christmas. I got to build something. Like I don't care. I got to put in work on something, whether it's any of those holidays or anything like that. So, huge internal motivations. Don't know why, just kind of have them, and external motivations as well. So I'm externally motivated to generate a financially fortuitous situation. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So huge motivations there. And I'll throw in this bit too. I was working for a capillary collection startup as a software engineer for them, and amazing company, amazing people, some of the smartest minds I've ever been around. And I genuinely mean that. Like, to say these guys have at least one genius would be conservative. There are very many geniuses who work for that company. And I'm being very genuine about that when I say that. With that being said, I was working for them, and they had crossed paths with some unforeseen business circumstances. And unfortunately, I was kindly asked to part ways with the company. And kindly asked is kind of cheeky for saying I didn't have a choice. I got the can, folks. I got the can. But I worked tremendously hard for this company as well. It was not something that I was not a dependable person. I used to live in San Antonio prior to moving to Austin, and I what's it called? I got these fun little Velcro straps that hold wires together. But I was when I was living in San Antonio, I just dropped it. I have no idea where it went. But no worries. I got another, folks. See that? The abundance mentality, folks, always wins. But I used to live in San Antonio, and I would leave San Antonio at 5:45 in the morning, and I would commute up to Austin. I'd show up about 7:15 at work, and a few times I was the first one at the office. And very often I'd be also one of the last ones to leave. So to the point where they actually gave me a key to what we called the treehouse, or a few people called it the treehouse. We didn't call it the treehouse. The people who worked there didn't, the ones that worked in the treehouse didn't call it the treehouse. But they gave me a key to what we called the treehouse, or what the company called the treehouse. And I would leave at like 6:30, lock the place up. I'd have to push the door real tight. It had this weird gap on the door that you couldn't push it all the way in, or you really had to push it all the way in to make sure it locked. And those were the days, right? But I worked tremendously hard, and I was let go. And I don't take it personal. And I know they would never mean it personal as well. I still have very, very great relationships with a lot of those people there. Certainly on the IT team as well. So I know it wasn't a personal thing. I know it's just a unfortunate circumstance, and bummed for that. They were not happy to do that neither. So out of that grew a bit of frustration, and not towards anybody. You know what I mean? Not towards anybody, not even towards myself. I wasn't even mad at myself, because I'm like, I couldn't have worked harder. like I legitimately can say that with 100% conviction and say, I don't think I could have squeezed out any more work. So I grew a bit of an existential frustration of like, man, I need to build something myself as well. I need to just work. So out kind of birthed some of these ideas, and some of these ideas, involved, Team Syncer, the project management solution, the Saas that I'm referencing in this entire bit, and YouTube channel, building the LinkedIn, building some data scrapers, a software engineering course, and I'm missing a few other things. I built a project for a dermatology company as well during this time. So, and I'm sure I'm missing a few other things too, but the plate has been full, folks. The plate has been full. So a lot of that kind of initial motivation was both internal and external, and I would say existential, of saying, well, I kind of have to do this. Don't know why. I kind of have to. Don't have a choice. I applied probably to 2,000 more jobs, and for many people in the software engineering market, they know it's pretty rough right now, in the field, for whatever reason. But I'm not letting that stop my work ethic. You know what I mean? I need something to do. So that's where taking a serious dive at a SaaS product from a business owner standpoint came into fruition. So that's kind of the point one of external, internal, and existential motivations. So whichever motivations you have, whether this applies to you or me talking to future PAGs, I don't blame anybody for their motivations. If your motivations is, I want to start a SaaS to make a ton of money and drink Mai Tais on the beach, so be it. I'm not judging you, dude. Do whatever you need to do. It's part of my motivations, not my only motivations, but it'd be nice to have a week off. You know what I mean? It'd be cool. It'd be cool to have a week off. It'd be cool. So sliding into point two, which is ideas in product market fit and unfair skill sets. This, I think, is what's huge for me right now. Is one, I did have a bit of a product market fit. I'll kind of briefly talk about that and then slide into the unfair skill sets that I think led to getting this ball moving. Because again, I don't want to sit here and say like I've got an enterprise SaaS company, not yet at least, but it is at least enough validated for me that I can sit here and say, no, I have my first SaaS product. And that's pretty cool. So now honing in on point two, product market fit of me being someone and having the humility to say, I use project management systems and I'm not in love with any one of them specifically. I'll just go build my own. And that's kind of where Team Syncer's initial thoughts kind of were brewed out of, was, well, if I want a better UI UX for software in this regard, and a better experience, how special am I? If I want that, I'm not that special. You know what I mean? Like I guarantee there's other people who probably would enjoy something like that as well. So that paired with the dermatology build that I mentioned. Actually, I won't mention that right now. I think it's still a little too soon. But there is an important point here as well that I learned from the dermatology build that played into Team Syncer. Hugely played into it. Again, it's a little fresh. It'll kind of make sense down the road, but I won't speak on it now for professional reasons. But beyond that, I will speak on it at some point, just not now. Just FYI, I will speak on it at some point, not right now, folks. But okay, so finding a product market fit that made sense for my skill set where I'm at, and something that I would actually want. That's where Team Sinker kind of pooled together as an idea, and where it took me into ideating possible features and possible architecture on how I want to build this thing. So that's the birthing steps of Team Sinker. It wasn't even called Team Sinker initially. It was called Taskify, actually. Yeah, so that's that. And then the unfair advantages. Let's slide into that. I think that's an important bit if you want to build a SaaS. And probably for any company, actually, I would say this extends beyond anything, is identifying your unfair advantages. Because we all have them. We all have someone watching this has an uncle somewhere who knows this person who can just instantly get them into some industry. I don't have that. Someone comes from an Ivy League family who can easily have a letter of recommendation wrote about this thing, or they're in this magazine. I don't have that. But I will talk about what I do have. So I have a tenacious grit. I may not be the smartest in the room. I like to think I'm smart, but I will be the hardest working. That is something I do know. Or of the hardest working. So that's one skill set that I have, of just being gritty, just being able to hold on and keep going. Being strong-willed is what people have described me as. The other advantages that I have, as I vaguely mentioned, is being an ex-sales supervisor, an ex-enterprise software engineer, an ex-professional musician. There's different skill sets associated with each one of those things. So obviously software engineering is right up everything I'm talking right now. But these other two fields, these are things that other engineers don't have. Being an ex-professional musician and knowing how to work a room, knowing how to sell to people, getting hundreds of thousands of streams digitally, distributing, marketing, building brand, being creative, even getting this lens where it is a whole lot of God, a lot more God than it is me, but there is a little bit of a splash of trying to have that creative idea. It's largely more God though than it is me, but being a bit creative is an advantage that I do have that other people do not have. Having an eye for front end builds that are really, really aesthetically pleasing. I've been told so many times, you are so nasty at the front end. And I'm not saying it arrogantly. I don't even care, personally. I really don't. I think there's people far more talented than me at the front end for software, and I'm lucky to have a decent eye for it, and super grateful for it. So that is what you can call a unfair advantage. As some people I know are better with running track. When I was a kid, I used to run track, and there was this, I forget his name, but he was so fast. He ran like a 5:30 mile in like 7th grade. And here I am training all the time in track, showing to the meets. And I think the fastest I ever ran was like a 7-minute, 16-second mile. And here's this kid, and he's eating pizza for lunch. He's not dieting. He doesn't do any other sports. He's running these sub 6-minute miles. And he's honestly done with 4 laps around the track like it was nothing. Those are unfair advantages, folks. So if you have those, take advantage of them. Another unfair advantage that I've stumbled across with in this journey is sales. So I've been a sales representative. I've been a sales supervisor for a very, very short period of time. But prior to that, my whole life I've sold. Whether it was, sold out shows in music. I used to sell stringing services and lacrosse sticks to people. I used to sell a ton of things on Craigslist, whether it was dirt bikes, leftover stuff, dirty, lacrosse equipment and all sorts of stuff. So having that ability to sell and move a service or product or a good is a bit of an advantage for me. I'm not saying I'm the best in the world, but it's just something that is what I've noticed that can give me a bit of a head start. So when building a SaaS product, guys, we are, by the way, we are not going to get through all these points. So I'll probably have a part two. Now that I'm kind of breaking these down and realizing, it's going to take a moment to chop all these things up with, but yeah. So those are huge points. Let's kind of summarize these things. Internal motivations, external motivations, some sort of fire to get you moving is super important. That next point is going to be, identifying a product market fit and unfair advantages. I think those are paired together when building a business. If you and a buddy, both are together and in business, and your buddy has his uncle's dad who works in Hollywood, and well, I guess uncle's dad would be a grandpa. Right? Would that be a grandpa technically? I think it would. But like trying to give wise advice. Uncle's dad. We've got a relative straight. But if you're working with a business partner and your business partner's dad works in Hollywood, and you guys are trying to start an acting agency, then that's probably going to be hugely advantageous to what you're trying to build. So I think that's very, very important to attempt to identify. Let's slide into the next things that help me kind of build the SaaS. Ooh, branding and digital presence. That has helped onboard a few users, and I think just give it this sheen, this polish, this grace, if you will, that allowed for kind of a, I don't want to say not like a certified thing, but like you could see how that person operates, right? And you could see that how do I put it? Like building a presence, even a small one, right? Like right now I'm at 500 subscribers and 60 users, 70 users on the platform, and maybe like 800 LinkedIn followers or something. Building at least to that level, which, mind you, I want to preface right now, knowing that there's so much more to grow. But building at least to even that level is enough of a, again, like I said, enough of a verified or certified, oh, this kid, here's who that kid is. This is the guy I need to message if there's a problem on his application. If I have a Stripe payment that doesn't go through, I can go on his YouTube channel and comment on his video. I know where his LinkedIn is. I can message him directly if there's an issue on his Kanban page on his SaaS application. Kind of opening that wall of accessibility. Now, I don't want people, obviously, showing up at my door to be like, hey, your SaaS product's broken. I'll be like, I'd be a little bit, pissed. But to have that again, like I said, some sort of sense of certified where people say, oh, this is his, not federated identity, but some sense of a social identity or federated certified-esque identity where people can say, oh no, here's his LinkedIn, here's his SaaS product, here's his YouTube. We know that's Pags. I think building some sort of brand in however you have to do it for building a product or a SaaS company is probably a good idea. When you see the new what am I thinking of? So there was this guy who he sold breakfast burritos in college. Super hardworking guy. He was everywhere on the campus, advertising here, sitting on campus. He'd sit on certain crossroads where students would walk home, and he'd get a lot of foot traffic just setting up shop and selling breakfast burritos. And he would hand out his business card and his personal number. Whether it was his personal number or not, I have no idea. But the fact that you had a sense of, I could text this guy and he'll literally text me back with, "Oh, you need breakfast burrito? I'll show up." And there was so many times where he actually did that. And there was this feedback, this like dynamic feeling that you feel, wow, he genuinely cares for me. There was a time where I didn't have I had like a $20 bill, and I tried to buy one of his breakfast burritos and he didn't have cash on him. He's like, "Oh, just keep the burrito. Just have it. It's on me. I'm not going to take your 20. You just keep the burrito." And it's things like that when you see the Instagram that he was building, you see the on-campus presence he was building, and then you see the personal kind of presence that guy was building. It's a brand. It's a reputation. It's goodwill. And Alex Hormozi, he's actually someone I listen to a lot on YouTube. Very, 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 very smart and business savvy guy. He hopefully one day, side note, this would be so cool one day to be at the level where I could sit at a table with him. That would be so cool one day. But to put it out there in the ethos of the world, that would be so cool. But having a goodwill is what Alex Hormozi says. He says your goodwill compounds faster than currency. And I think that's what marketing and branding is, you get a sense that this person is receptive, they care, they're putting in the extra effort. That's building goodwill. That's building a brand. That's building something that you're going to carry with you beyond materialistic things. Because if you take away a man's money, what is he left with? And that's what's most important, is to tick all those boxes. So that's been my attempt at building this company and doing right by people. It's certainly that. And I'll speak on a business event that happened down the road that is very relevant to that point. Very, very, very relevant to the point. But again, for professional reasons, I will not disclose that now. It's probably a little too soon still. So, but I will put a pen in it to remember in the future. So let's slide on from marketing and branding that I've attempted, which is YouTube, LinkedIn, and building I had a newsletter too that kind of worked. I didn't get as much reactivity from it, but I did build it up to 22,000 emails. These aren't contacts. These were emails. These were cold emails. And I realized that did not work. That was not the approach to do. Speaking of goodwill and identifying when something's not for you and that's probably not the right approach. That was one thing that I did that I had to learn. This is not going to work for me. Don't know why. It's worked for other people. For the system I'm building, for whatever reason, I wasn't finding any traction or reactivity from it. So fail and move fast was the idea on that one. Okay, so let's slide into the next point, and then maybe I'll wrap it up and we'll do a part 2 another day. So I was branding, marketing, and online presence / goodwill. Shout out to Alex Hormozi. And finally, we have launching the project or the product and user acquisition, customer feedback, growth and scaling, and reflections and advice. But you know what? I think this is an appropriate time to wrap it up here, and I will pop in on the user acquisition point in part 2. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the first Saas that I built and me speaking a little bit on it. I appreciate your time and giving me the floor. very much looking forward to part 2. So I'll put a pin in it here, but yeah, I think right now is a probably serendipitously perfect time as well for waiting on part 2, because could be a few months, could be a few weeks for part 2 to come out. So stay tuned. I will certainly disclose that information though when it is relevant. I don't want to drag on too much more. So I'll wrap it up here, guys. Thank you. And if you haven't checked it out yet, Team Syncer, TEAMSYNCR.com is the best personal management solution that exists today. Cheers.